Well, g'day there, first year students, and everyone who's either thinking about going into uni or making their way to uni through VCE, or you could be deciding to have a career change and wanting to go into university, which can be a scary thing, especially if you're not used to studying, being in work for multiple years, or you don't know what to expect going from VCE to university, because a lot of people will tell you it's a hell of a lot easier. Got news for you. It's not. It's different, and it's not necessarily harder, but it's definitely not easier than VCE. Yes, you're actually surrounded by people who want to study, or majority who want to be there for a reason, which is a positive, because you're not surrounded by those people who just kind of disrupt the class and everything else. Of course, you're still going to have comedians, but it's a lot different, and it's an atmosphere that will make you feel a lot more comfortable to be surrounded by and help you want to achieve your goal, which is always a good thing. But there are a lot of different aspects about university that will take some getting used to. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the digital world. Things like social media and fake news and good news, and where to find appropriate resources on the internet, because it's a big place and there's so much stuff out there, but you need to know what to use and what not to use and how to use it. Look, each university is different and has different ways for you to reference things. For example, Deakin, where I'm at, and g'day to any fellow Deakinites, who are watching this video, including my teacher. G'day. Look, Deakin uses Harvard referencing system, but I know that at some other stages and in some other courses at Deakin, they also use other forms of referencing, but the majority of Deakin students use Harvard referencing. But there are other universities that use different referencing systems, and each one is a little bit different, and that's going to take some getting used to. Because instead of just slapping on a link at the bottom of your reference list like you used to do in VCE, no. You have to do it cautiously and in very specific ways. Otherwise, your marks are just going to fly down. Trust me, I felt that pain, and it's not great, because sometimes you think you're doing it all right, but you've got a little slight detail wrong and there goes a few marks. That's not a great thing to feel, but it's another thing to get used to, and it's something that all you have to do is do a bit of research and a bit of looking around, and you'll figure it out quite easy. It's definitely not something to be scared of, but it is something to watch out for. Now, finding correct resources and doing all of that stuff can be difficult when there's fake news out there. I'm sure you've seen on Facebook, especially at the times of COVID, which, for anyone watching in the future, remember that? Remember when we were running out of toilet paper and absolutely everything else for months on end? Yeah, look, another thing for uni students of the future, at least you're not like us. I mean, you could be. There could be some other virus or something like that, but I hope not. We can hope. But, currently, I went to uni one day, and then after that, everything online, which is also a really different experience and something that takes a lot of getting used to. But hopefully you won't have to deal with that. Unless, of course, you're an online student, then good on you. Hopefully you can gain the motivation to hand in all your assignments and watch everything, because God knows I didn't. It's takes some getting used to. But back to the main subject, fake news. So, at the time of COVID, there's a hell of a lot of fake news everywhere. On Facebook, on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, you name it, there's fake news somewhere. Your friend shares a link, and then they share a link, and then they share a link, and everyone shares it around until all of a sudden it's on everyone's page. But the information isn't necessarily correct, because who knows if it's coming from a trusted source. What's a trusted source? Something that's actually written and has evidence behind it and isn't just opinions or, just someone slandering or making stuff up. It's actual research that's been done. It's proven. And that is what you need for uni assignments, because at the end of the day, you can't write a factual report or you can't make a PowerPoint on information that's incorrect, because, it would be incorrect, and being correct is a good thing. So you need to watch out for that. So let's run through a few different bits and pieces about fake news on the internet. Now, for example, of referencing the information, some of the information that I'm about to pass on to you is found in trusted sources, which I have obtained through the Deakin Library, and as well as that, through Google Scholar. Now, Google Scholar is a great thing, young ones. Google Scholar allows you to search any keyword or search directly for a specific article, and there's an article, and the articles contained on Google Scholar should 100% of the time be factually correct, or at least researched and have evidence, which allows you to actually be able to use it in your reports, in your research, in everything else, without having to worry about, if it's Wikipedia and people are just typing in random crap because they got bored. No, this is actual evidence and scientific research and people writing factual statements and researching things themselves. You could write a great report using specific research from other sources and then post it online and get it onto Google Scholar, because as long as it's actually got factual information, I'm sure you could find a way to get it on there, and then other students could use your work and other people could use your work to help change the world. You never know. But some of the things that I am talking to you about today, the information is gathered from sites that I found on Google Scholar and reports that I found on Google Scholar and everything else. So I will let you know where I got that information from as I'm talking to you about it. But what I've said to you so far is straight from the good old noggin, so I don't need to stress too much about that. But yeah, let's get started about some things to do with fake news. Alright, now just some little brief information on fake news and everything else, and the difference between fake news and lying and just all that jazz. Now, this information is coming from an article that I found on Google Scholar myself. It's by MacKenzie A and Bhatt. I'm sorry if I mispronounce that name. Now, this article is called Lies, Bullshit and Fake News, Some Epistemological Concerns, and it was found on Postdigital Science and Education. Now, this article I found to have some great information, and it's got some swearing in the name of the article. Look at that. Fun times. Now, what is the difference between a lie, bullshit, and fake news story? In this article that I read, 3 main points are explained in detail to answer the question. Lies are mainly meant not with the intention to deceive, but instead to avoid judgment, harm, or someone else's feelings being hurt. In comparison, to deceive someone, you're going behind their back in order to make them feel wrong. When that happens, when someone will deceive you and it's like they're purposely trying to hurt you. They go behind your back to try and just be like, ho ho ho. In comparison to lying, where you usually lie to try and not hurt someone's feelings, to try and not deceive them. You're lying kind of for yourself, to try and make yourself feel better about something. I don't know if you've done something, you stole a cookie from your mum's cookie jar and she goes, "Where's the cookie gone?" And you're like, "Oh, I don't know." You do know because you ate it, but you're trying to, you didn't actually do anything wrong. Look, you're trying not to anger us. You are trying not to change their emotion drastically, and you're also trying to, save yourself from judgment from eating that cookie. So it is more deceiving is more often met with the intention to hurt someone. To bullshit is not to lie, but both are used to stray from the truth. A quote from the article is, the bullshitter is not so scrupulous or meticulous. He is less concerned with how things really are, being neither for nor against the truth, and often knows we know he is bullshitting. Unlike the liar, Frankfurt informs us the bullshitter is less analytical and less deliberative, and exercises greater freedom to play around with the truth or facts. Now, we all have that one friend who goes, "Oh, on the weekend, I downed 50 beers in one sitting." And you go, "Well, that's just bullshit." Because he's not, he is lying, but it wouldn't count as a lie, because we know that he's kind of lying, and I think he knows that we know that he's lying, but he's trying to get something out of it. He's trying to feel impressive, and it's not harming anyone. Okay, I think the motorbike's gone in, but it's not harming anyone. That's bullshit. And also, sorry for the language, this is from a scientific article, so I feel a little less bad about saying bullshit. But anyway, social media seems to be the space in which we see so much evidence for these kind of epistemic vices, like bullshit. That's bullshitting. And that was a quote from Frankfurt HG in 1985 on bullshit. That was used in the article that I mentioned before, and where I found it and everything else. That was a quote found in the article from another piece of information that they got from doing research from a trusted source. Look at that. So fake news, however, is often made to deceive the reader and misguide them, which is often different to the liar or the bullshitter. It's completely different. Fake news, look, sometimes it could just be used to bullshit. Especially when found on social media, it could just be someone being like, this is going to be funny if people start to believe this. But more often than not, it is made to deceive, but it tricks people. So it's not bullshitting because you're tricking people. A lot of people don't know that it's bullshit. You're actually trying to trick someone into believing something that is untrue. And now that's something you have to watch out for when doing your research, when trying to find trusted source online. That's what you've got to avoid. Because if you're scrolling through after doing just a standard Google search for whatever term that you're trying to get information on, and you see this website that's got information, you're like, wow, this information seems awesome. But you don't know if it's a trusted source, you just found it on Google. And do you know what that website is? Do you know if that website is a trusted source? Is it news.com.au? Is it something like that? I mean, look, news.com.au could technically be a trusted source, but at the same time, you could look at it differently. Because sometimes when you look at news sites and you read a newspaper or watch the news, and then you switch station to a different news channel, the same information's being played, but each one slightly different and slightly altered to make people believe different things or to sway people in different directions, which is unfortunate. But if you watch closely, you do see that. Not always, and there are some news places and news articles and stuff like that which are straight down the middle, but you also have a bit of curvature from those places that are trying to sway you in specific directions, whether it's like liberal based or Labour based or the Greens or Conservative or something like that. Sometimes there are little bits that kind of try and get you to stray from wherever the actual information stands. And yes, it is still factual, but there's worded influence to try and alter people's thoughts. And when putting that information into your report, assignment, or whatever, it changes things, because your project or whatever you're working on could be about the fact of incarceration of Aboriginal Australians, Indigenous Australians, and their incarceration rates. One news site may be more frowning upon the incarceration rate and being like, no, this is absolutely wrong, and being like, this is the information that supports the fact that it's wrong. It's a racist sort of thing, and it's just really bad. But then another news site, some mad people on the road this morning, there's some other news sites that might actually be more altered towards being good. I'm glad there's more incarcerated, because, you know, they do this and they do that and they do that, and they will slander the Indigenous Australians because that is what they believe and that is what they're trying to get you to believe. So despite the fact that they still might list the correct data on there, like that, you know, 10% of Indigenous Australians will be incarcerated at some point in time. That was made up data. Do not use that in anything. Do not hold that against me. That was just an example. But they both might use something like that, but use it still in different ways to alter the reader's opinions on the subject matter, and to try and get people to sway with them and to believe with them, which is kind of messed up. And that is kind of fake news in a way, but coming from real news sources. Bit scary, isn't it? But that's still kind of on the subject that we're talking about. But anyway, fake news. It's not real news, it's fake news. And that's the main thing. You know, you've just got to be careful where you're looking. If you're doing a uni article, don't use the stuff you find on Facebook. You know, for example, another article that I found on Google Scholar, which, give me 2 seconds, just so I can give you the correct referencing on that one. Alrighty. Now, this one I did find on a news website. I found on the Guardian's website. It was by John Henley, and it was how Finland starts its fight against fake news in primary school. And it was retrieved by me on the 1st of April 2020. Now, Finland doing a great job with fake news. You know, when you're in primary school, or when you were in high school, did you learn too much about fake news? Maybe a little bit. Well, Finland actually has been doing a lot more. Now, this is information, once again, that I obtained from The Guardian, where they did their research either independently or from other researchers. So, the information that follows. Kids aren't usually taught in schools from a young age how to find and recognise fake news. In Finland, however, since 2016, primary schools have been teaching in multiple styles of classes on how words can be used to confuse, mislead and deceive, as well as history, art and data manipulation in mathematics. Due to kids stumbling across the news on social media, they often see it as always factual pieces of information, when in reality, social media can be littered with fake news. In some classes, examples are shown of subjects that relate to children which greater their interest in the matter. Teachers then ask pupils to ask such questions such as, who produced this information and why? Where was it published? What does it really say? Who is it aimed at? What is it based on? Is there evidence for it? Or is this just someone's opinion? Is it verifiable elsewhere? You know, that's one thing you can do, is always double check. Find a beautiful piece of information, search that piece of information again on, well, it doesn't have to be on something like Google Scholar or a Deakin library or a university library or something like that, but it is always good, because then you know that majority of the time it is trusted source. But have another search on it. See if that information pops up elsewhere, or if that data is used in another report, because then you know, hey, that data is actually factual. And look, I know it sounds like a lot of effort, and it is, but it's effort for a reason. You know, university wasn't meant to be easy, and you want to do something good with your life, and you want to bring out factual information, because there's no point writing a report on incorrect information. So remember, watch out for fake news. It's everywhere. Learn the ways to find it, bugger it off, and find something actually useful with factual information. Now, thank you for watching. Any first year students or anyone who's watching, especially my teacher. I don't know who exactly, what teacher is going to be watching this, but someone from EAD 111 at Deakin University, digital literacy class. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this information helped you today a little bit. Any questions, chuck them in the comments down below. Remember to like and subscribe. Look at all this YouTube lingo that I'm using. Yeah, have a great day, guys.